Marketing, planning and execution. Hi, I'm Liam, and while not leaning on walls in Venice, I'm thinking about Orbis MRM and how we can support our customers' planning and development process. And I just want to take a few minutes here just to talk to you about that. Firstly, this diagram is really just designed to show how most marketing departments approach their planning and development for their campaigns. Typically there's some sort of an annual process, maybe it involves some sort of strategies that are agreed to, target segments and some goals, and coming out of that are the programs, and really that's where MRM begins, that's where Orbis MRM begins, and flowing through from there is into some sort of quarterly or periodic process, which usually would be at a campaign level, and of course the executions, which are the channel executions, which may involve contact groups and offers. Orbis MRM initially provides a view of all of that, because in a complex marketing department it's important to know what's going on, what have we planned, and of course right down to the level of what executions are occurring in the market and when, and what status are these different activities at. That's really important. Once we get through that sort of annual plan and we can see all that, it's we're down to this periodic, say quarterly or 6-weekly process, and this is where really, if you look at it quite closely, even if you haven't drawn it on a piece of paper like this, you do work within a process which is most likely a fairly complex process. Most marketers just know how to follow it, but when you draw it out, you realize how complex it can be. It moves from planning through briefing and production and execution, and of course where it gets quite complex, particularly in a multi-channel world, is where we have to look at different streams of work such as data and creative and web, really dependent on the type of campaign that we're doing. Orbis MRM supports this at a campaign level by firstly having a concept of a workspace. This is a campaign workspace which people are invited to, so all your agencies and people internally are able to work together and follow a timeline, and these timelines have statuses and notifications. Orbis MRM has briefing forms which are electronic, and the idea of these is that they're not just a Word document or something that travels around and we lose the version. They are actually integrated into the campaign, and we can send them out and get some comments and sign off on those forms. And thirdly, the agencies, our external agencies or internal design teams, are able to house files, which of course is a really critical element of any marketing process. House those files and discuss those files within the campaign itself. So that's all the campaign level, but when we go a step further, we look at the channel executions and the offers and the contact groups, it gets even more complex. And what's really interesting here is that if we think of a launch schedule around multi-channel, different sort of channel executions, you can see that we're trying to firstly manage some sort of a complex launch schedule of all of these different elements, but we also have different time frames. So a TVC may be 12 weeks where we've got to book the media and film it and etc., but an SMS could be a week, yet we're trying to make them all occur at the same time, and that of course makes it quite complex. Orbis MRM supports this by having within the workspace an area to manage these executions, where we can put the dates and plan out who owns each elements and when it needs to occur. Further to that, each of these comes with a workflow, because of course they all have different timelines and different needs, so that's all part of the campaign. Where this all also connects in for many of our customers is that the managers of different teams who need to fulfill those executions and develop different parts of them need to know whether they can even do it. And that's what this is really trying to show here, is we're looking at our resources, what they've been allocated, and whether we can even fulfill the plan. So really, at the end of all of that, I hopefully gave you a quick idea of how Orbis MRM supports that process from the beginning to end. Of course, a more detailed demonstration would flesh that out. Why would you do it? Really, the idea in this multi-channel world in which we live is that we're trying to make our marketing more effective, get to market faster and reduce waste, and ultimately that will lead to better outcomes for the organisation. So thanks for spending a couple of minutes with me. I hope that was reasonably insightful, and feel free to give me a call or drop me a line if you've got any questions. Thank you very much.